Greetings! Old operation, easy mode, or so-called story mode, Denova, explosive conflicts. I've cut all of the trash pools because, well, it was boring enough to go through it. I don't want to bore you with watching us going through it. So, first boss, the two twins. Todd and Thorn, they are just like they've always been, easy, boring and dumb, in story mode of course, and they weren't so easy when we were all level 50. I'm running in a group with the guys from Red Hot Chili Peppers, a very big social guild on the Red Eclipse server, focusing mainly on conquest and PvP. So what we did is, as you see, separate them as far away as possible. That's not the most appropriate tactics for harder mode, in so-called hard mode and nightmare mode. But it does work enough because most of the members of the team were level 60 with plenty of DPS, way more than what this is designed for. So it was very easy to take them down. And obviously, as you can see, the tanks were separating the boss and pulling them away from each other, because when they are close, they bond and you can't hit them, you can't harm them actually, you can keep hitting them for no reason. Plus, they do a lot more damage buffing each other when they are closer than, if I remember correctly, 20 meters was it, or 15? You are supposed to kill them one after another, because if you kill one of them first, the other one enrages. Plus, as I've mentioned, since this is story mode, level 50 operation, yes, this is recorded before the changes, I wanted to have one last throw, and as it turned out, it was a first on many occasions for me. It seems I haven't done this in maybe 2.5, I don't know, 3 years in story mode. And apparently I've never done it with Kukla, and I haven't done some of the things the way I did. But you'll see further on with I'm specifically talking here about third boss. I was the Minesweeper. When you kill the two twins, the boss jumps down and he is extremely easy to take down in story mode. He pretty much doesn't do any damage. Moving on to the second boss, the twin tanks. The amount from nightmare mode that you can earn from the... I think it has a chance to drop on any boss, pretty much second, third and fourth boss have a chance to drop it, but correct me if I'm wrong, only in nightmare. The mount looks like one of these tanks. Again, the proper tactic here is taking them at the same time, because otherwise if you kill one of them first, the other one enrages in, what was it, 5 or 10 seconds, I'm not really sure, and probably the timer changes between nightmare and hard mode. However, in story mode you can pretty much do whatever you want. What we did is roam all over the place, because even if you get damage, unless you're level 50, as you are about to see, you pretty much take almost no damage whatsoever, so you don't really have to be on board of the tanks, as the original tactics suggested. During the most of the fight, you are supposed to be on top of the tanks, DPSing them from melee range, because down on the floor, down on the ground, there will be all over the area AoE, unavoidable or hard to avoid AoE. What we did is just jump on the closer one and we took it down. When the shields appear, one or two guys, maybe me from time to time, went off to the healer, to the shields to take on the extra adds, which again do nearly no damage to anybody because of the level difference, not because it's been nerfed to hell. This will be, I suppose, a very decent challenge for casual groups and casual runs in story mode at level 65, what we're about to see. For now, that's just a casual story legacy run. I wanna call it a legacy run. I didn't go for the achievements, I just logged on my character, the guys advertised needing a group, and I jumped in.
Engaging offensive systems.
by default you're supposed to separate the group in two fours and have one on the left side, one on the right side, taking out the odds. But I've noticed that when I go with my group, because I was on the left side, the right group started dying because their healer is a level 50. I don't know if he or she was experienced and knew the tactics, but something killed them. So I've decided to stay more closer to the right side. That's what I mean here. You're not supposed to stay out in the open, but the AoE is so low. Everything gets resisted most of the time. And when you're running in a casual mode, or so-called story mode, everybody tends to be all over the place, so it's really hard to find and heal everybody, because most of the time someone is out of range, someone else is out of line of sight, close enough, but hiding behind the tank for whatever reason.
Engaging offensive systems.
It just adds to the level of the fun though. I thoroughly enjoyed going through story mode not one more, but one last time before it gets changed. And I'm pretty sure since the legacy system came out, I've never ever done story mode here. Maybe if I have, it was so long ago that I have forgotten. But one thing is for sure, I've never done story mode with my scoundrel.
Repulsion system charged and ready.
I have to check when did I create my scoundrel. It's very likely I've made Kukla, who was called different wise in the beginning on my origin server. I wonder, did we have legacy as a feature available in the game when I created the character, or maybe I created her before that. I do remember doing some ops with her as a level 50 right before we get the change, but it's most likely I've been doing TMP and Scum and Villainy at level 50, because they were the end game at that time before the expansion hit us. As mentioned, in harder modes, you're not supposed to leave one of them alive long, because they would enrage and start hitting much harder. I suppose that's not the case in story mode. I'm a healer after all, and even though nobody needed healing, I just enjoy using my heal skills. You can't blame a healer for wanting to heal, yeah? Usually healers want to DPS. Well, I'm a different kind. Third boss, my favorite. I was up on the turret as a minesweeper, or the person detecting the big droids, because that's the most fun role. It's not exactly the best healer role, but who cares? You know how much I dislike, for lack of a better word to replace hate, doing DPS as a healer, but I had to, because every time this droid spawns, after you detect the big droid, you spawn back on the turret. That's my job. The guys wanted to have the most left path cleared, regardless of how many greens we get. Since it's story mode and everybody can kill the droid quick enough, that's me, detecting with a probe. The person who hits last and kills that big droid gets a special buff on themselves that lasts, if I remember correctly, 15 or 20 seconds. Maybe it's different in story mode, I really don't remember. But I think it was 15 in Nightmare. And that person has to move over to the next square that I will be marking. So I'm watching as soon as the person kills the droid, I'm clicking the closest red square, which turns us into yellow-orangish. And that allows them to progress further. They are only allowed to step on green squares. It's time to call the next droid. We have these small ads spawning all the time. Plus there are, if I remember correctly, 4 sets of turrets on the left and 4 on the right. Up on the top, unreachable, that are providing us with constant unavoidable damage. Usually the table is a little bit buggy and annoying, so I had to click multiple times on these squares. So they killed the droid, I provided them with a yellow-orange square to move on. The guy with the buff is supposed to move on to the orange and channel it in the very beginning. You see that little bit of a mechanism in the right middle. The guy who kills the big droid and gets the buff is supposed to quickly move and channel. Channel is, what, 5-6 seconds? And the buff lasts for about at least 15-20 seconds. And that's how we turn the green squares, the red squares into green squares. This isn't intended to be a guide, so forgive me for making up on the go. And it's always a good idea to spawn these droids as close to the group as possible. They are on a fixed position always. If I remember correctly, 3 big droids on the left side, 3 big droids on the right side. There might be in the middle. No, I don't think there is a droid in the middle. So it's always good to go and spawn the droid closest to the group so they don't waste time. It used to be a very tight timer on hard mode and especially in nightmare mode back 3 years ago. The droid is down, I provided them with the next available square, and there is one last droid need to be summoned.
Reinforcements deploy! Engage defensive systems! Reinforcements deploy!
Come on droid, die. My job up on the turret is finished, and what I have to do is quickly join the group, of course, stepping. This is a clear area here in the beginning. After that I should only step on the green squares because I don't remember if it happens in story mode, but in nightmare definitely one-shot it. If I step outside of the green areas on the minefield, I just explode immediately. This is the real boss. This was the so-called puzzle before reaching the boss, and now we have the boss who does absolutely nothing. Again, he spawns, I think after 50% mark on his HP, he spawns 2 turrets on left and 2 turrets on right side, which can be easily CC'd or killed quickly. Or maybe never bother with them even, it's all fine. All the boss does is just DPS on the tank, and he puts a random red mark on a person like I just had on myself. What the person needs to do is just quickly move away because it's an AoE and you don't want to hurt people around you. If you want to be a, I don't know, a troll, you could of course stay in the middle with the red circle and create panic for everybody else.
Activate turrets!
And that's what I've mentioned in the beginning of the video, some things I've never apparently done. One of them is being the minesweeper as a scoundrel. Jumping a little bit forward into the middle of the last boss fight because I forgot to start recording it from the beginning. Basically before this phase with the bomber you have the 3 droids, we see their corpses. We're supposed to kill them quickly and efficiently, usually in hard mode and especially in nightmare mode we're supposed to interrupt their channel because they stack up buffs and they start hitting harder and harder. After that we get a big bomber droid with a timer going down. We have to kill the droid before it explodes. If we manage to do that, which is extremely and stupidly easy in story mode, the person who kills it or the person who deals the last blow gets a buff, a huge icon on top of their head. They have to go under the 3-legged big giant droid. They will get sucked in or up, explode automatically the bomb they're carrying, just like Luke does in episode 5 of Star Wars. And after that we DPS the droids as hard as we can. The next phase is those Trandoshans with the shields. They spawn always in 3 waves. First wave we just annihilated from the door to the left of the droid. This is the second door where the second group spawns. They are again ridiculously easy, but if you want to follow the tactics and to remove the shield first, you're supposed to take the big guy. After that, the little guys are easy. However, again, story mode, very over-leveled, most of us. The big giant droid does that thing from time to time. There are 3 designated huge areas where he's doing some kind of an AoE, which actually doesn't do much damage, as you noticed. The rest of the time, the big giant droid is DPSing the tank with single shots. If you want to avoid these, just stay outside. Not what I just did. Bring the group right into the middle, and it just so happens that the big giant droid DPS'd the middle area. There is the second bomber. If I remember correctly, we are allowed to have up to 3 bombers if we need them, but obviously the group has more than enough DPS because this is designed for level 50, and in story mode even level 48 can probably do it, I don't know. That's a joke, of course. I don't think level 48 is allowed to join this. Maybe they are. I haven't tried it myself. When we take down the big 3-legged droid, we have the real boss, Kefas himself, for the first time in the game spawning. This is really the very first time Kefas spawns. And while the tank is dealing with Kefas, kiting him around, we are taking down these droids. We need to be in melee range for them to not do big hits on us, but again, either most of the guys didn't know the tactics or didn't care because due to the level difference nobody is taking any real damage. However, the real tactics is stay melee DPS to these droids. And of course we managed to kill this one before the other even lost his shield. Usually in the olden days we were going back and forth a couple of times. I don't know what I'm doing here. The 2 droids are dead, and now it's just the last boss. All he does is jump up and down at about 50 or 55%, I don't remember exactly. He creates, we'll see that in a moment. Why am I going ahead of myself? I don't know. That's what he does, jump up and down all the time. There was some aggro management and aggro, that's the big purple circle. You just have to get out of it. I doubt. No, apparently nobody's taking any real damage in story mode. You saw our gunslinger staying inside and took some damage. What was that? Maybe 1/6, 1/7 of his HP bar. And then one of the tanks, I don't remember the tank tactics, so forgive me for not being able to explain them. I think I've done this as a tank with Ida, my shadow, some 3 years ago, once or twice in story mode. I don't remember the tactics anymore. There was a tank swap when Kefas channels something. You're supposed to switch tanks immediately, because after the channel the future off tank gets those purple circles and he's supposed to lay them around the edges of the room away from the people. Well, pretty much smooth, quick and easy old legacy run. If you stayed until the end, well, thank you. My ill voice probably attracted you to listen to the end. Excuse me guys, you know that I'm still ill at the time of recording this video. I have been ill for the whole week, but that's a different topic. Thank you very much for staying with me. The next video is most likely going to be a solo run through Lost Island hard mode, because it's not a challenge, but I finally decided to go and do it. Thank you, bye bye. Remember, you can find me also on Twitch, Twitter and Facebook.